6, right?
Hello and welcome back to Card Kingdom's Rags to Riches Pauper Tournament.
Yep.
How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great. I'm loving the Pauper action.
Yeah, me too. I just took a quick break, but I'm back in the booth for good, running all the way through the top 8. You and I, we got this.
All right, we got
this. So we're setting up for this round. We've got Greg Mitchell versus Jason Harrington. We've got, it looks like, Familiars for Greg Mitchell versus Mono Blue Delver out of Jason. So we're going to be heading down to the match pretty soon. From your inference so far, who do you think is favored in this match?
Well, I think it's relatively even with Delver being slightly favored.
Okay.
Greg told me he played Delver last round and actually won the match by damage.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. I love unfair decks winning fairways. That's like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, he said he just drew Mold Drifters into Mold Drifters, and the guy didn't have Spire Golem. And without Spire Golem, Mold Drifter runs the battlefield.
Yeah, dude, it's a big scary monster.
Anything else.
Trades with Delver.
Yeah. So he just outcarded him and beat him to death with some flyers.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, he said another game the guy actually countered both of his denizens because he only has 2, and he had to combo him out by making him draw his deck with compulsive research.
That's what I like to hear. I like when these combo decks that are supposed to attack one way have to figure out a backup plan and have the tools in the deck to do that. And the cool thing is all the other tools in the deck are still pieces that promote your game plan. They still help you get set up to win with the infinite combo later on. But in case the infinite finish goes away, you still have that backup piece.
Yeah, definitely. And looks like Greg's taking a mulligan here. I will say the Esper Familiars deck mulligans very well.
Yes.
You have a lot of built-in card advantage with the bounce lands and just all your card draw spells.
Speaking of bounce lands, there's a hand with bounce land Terramorphic.
Yep,
So
there you go.
That'll do it.
And that just
Double
makes straight
familiar?
up for the mulligan.
Yeah, so he's got double familiar, snap, Moldrifter. So that familiar costs 2 mana, right? Or is that one 3 mana?
That one is 2 mana.
Okay. I think the blue one is 3 mana.
Yes, possibly. Turn 1 Delver is definitely the start that Jason wants to have.
Yes.
And it looks like he doesn't have a black source, but I wonder if he uses this to get an island or a swamp. I think getting island is correct because he doesn't have any black cards at hand.
Yeah.
The only one in the deck is Nightscape Familiar.
I tend to like fetching blue because you tend to be constrained on blue mana when you combo off, as all the spells cost colorless mana less, but all the pieces still cost blue, so you need to have the critical mass of blue mana sources to really start comboing off sometimes.
That Delver not flipping is really big for Greg.
Yeah.
Any damage he can save here is really good for him.
Yeah, the first couple swings of Delver, each attack pretty much saves a turn with it not flipped, so I can imagine Greg's going to be able to live 1 turn longer than if the Delver flipped this turn.
Looks like Jason goes top here with this Preordain.
So he wanted a card and found a spell is what that tells me. It's possible that it was 2 spells or a creature spell. Either way is very good for him.
And Greg might have a kill next turn.
It's going to be close.
Because he's going to play the Familiar and then snap the Delver.
Okay.
To generate 3 mana.
Okay.
And if he has a Cloud of Fairies, I believe he has a kill because I think he has Mnemonic Wall in hand.
Okay. Isn't it better to snap the Cloud of Fairies than try and go after your opponent's spell?
It is, yeah. If he has a Cloud of Fairies.
Okay. But if you don't have the Cloud of Fairies, you think it's right to snap the Insectile Aberration?
I think so.
Okay.
Because then you'll get to cast another spell here.
Okay.
And also, Delver Seaverts is one of the best snap targets, and he's kind of a beat-in.
I might actually take the swing from Delver and do it EOT so your opponent can't deploy it. It also sets you up in really good shape if your opponent ninjutsu's in a ninja the D-powers, and then still before damage after the ninjutsu happens, bounce the ninja.
That's nice.
I think that commits a lot of mana to them and might be enough to punish them as the game progresses. So Ponder he's going to keep. He's going to draw 1 card off of it. We got a Nightscape Familiar for Greg, so he does not have a black source to cast it.
Worst draw possible.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Let's see what Greg does here. I think he should just cast his Familiar.
So he's going to play Snap first.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I think that might be wrong.
I don't see any reason. Is he playing around Daze?
It's possible.
Yeah. He could have basically played the Familiar for free.
Yeah, I agree.
And then he would have...
He still gets... Oh, I guess he doesn't get to play around Daze that way.
Let's see what the rest of his hand is. It looks like another Snap.
Yeah, he's got... I believe it's got another Snap. He's got a Moldrifter. He's got a Seagate Oracle. And then one of each of the Familiars. Okay, and so he's now playing this guy. So he's got 0 mana floating now. He sees a Seagate Oracle, and I didn't see what the other card
I
is.
think it's another Familiar. I think you just take the Seagate. Because
I think
he
you're right.
already has
Yeah, you only
Familiar.
need 2 Familiars.
Yeah.
And also, Delver doesn't really have any way to interact with them besides Snap. So.
No, and he's going to be choked on white mana anyway, so he can cast that familiar next turn.
So Jason's going to go on the aggressive and step flash and spell stutter sprite. I like this. You really got to apply pressure, and this also turns on the other the other spell stutter sprite he had, and then also the spell stutter he just drew.
The Esper deck doesn't have a ton of good spell starter sprite targets.
Their spells are kind of expensive.
Yeah, their spells are expensive. Basically, he's going to get, looks like, a familiar here with the second one in his hand, which is good. I mean, that's definitely the best case scenario. And if...
What's even grosser is if he does get to spell stutter sprite the third spell stutter in his hand is going to be able to hit either the Blink or the Seagate Oracle. It can also potentially hit so Ghostly Flicker, Seagate Oracle, and there's one other card that gets unlocked that I can't think of right now. What is the card I'm missing? I'm going to look at his deck list really quick, so I got that.
One thing Greg can do, though, is he can actually snap a spell starter sprite in response to fizzle the counter.
Okay, yeah, because there will be not enough targets anymore?
Yeah, there won't be enough fairies, because he only has 2 mana.
So there's a Cloud of Fairies, and that's a big deal for Greg. That's exactly what he's looking for.
Exactly what he's looking for. I think he starts with Familiar here.
Okay. Even though it doesn't reduce the cost of Cloud of Fairies or Snap?
Yeah. So he's definitely going to counter this, and I think Greg should fight over it with the Snap. Because it's going to make a bunch of mana, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Snap.
Yeah. Let's see if Greg sees the line. Yep. So
He's doing
found it.
So right now he's got a white in his mana pool, but using the blue mana off that island, he's going to cast Snap targeting the tapped one.
Yep. He goes back to his hand. Then Cloud of Fairies will resolve.
That Snap's going to finish resolving on tap 2 lands, and now Spell Stutter Sprite's trigger is going to try and target the Cloud of Fairies, realize that there's only one fairy in Jason's side, and get countered on a resolution.
So Greg is he's going to have 6 mana now.
Yeah, so he's got blue, and 2 white in his pool, 1 from the earlier chance retapping. So let's see what he decides to do.
So he could just deploy the...
He's going to play the wall for 2.
And then he can hard cast... No, he doesn't have...
He doesn't have enough for hard cast Muldrifter, but he can cast Seagate Oracle here. Oh, and you know what? We missed the Spell Stutter Sprite, or the Cloud of Fairies untap trigger.
Yeah,
that's why the math is wrong. And that's why he's like, hey, is it alright if I untap these? And I think it's too
his
late.
opponent says...
I think it was too late. Oh, looks like it happened.
It was awfully kind of his opponent.
Yes, awfully kind.
I do not.
You know what? They might just.
I do not think I would have allowed him to do that.
It was just. It's a little bit too far. If Greg hadn't played anything, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
But that's when it changes things. Is always the way that I look at it.
Yep. And he's gonna draw 2.
He finds a mnemonic wall.
Just excellent.
Yeah, I think he wants 1 more land and a Ghostly Flicker, and then he's golden.
Yeah, he doesn't even need another land. And he's playing Seagate for 1 hand.
So he is no mana floating right now, but he does have that land untapped. So is that the Ghostly Flicker?
I think it is. That actually might be a kill. If that was Ghostly Flicker.
It was.
It was. So he could cast Ghostly Flicker for 1 mana here. Untap both of his lands.
Bounce Cloud of Fairies and Muldrifter.
And if he hits a land, he needs to hit a land here to be able to cast Mnemonic Wall and then have 1.
He did it.
We hit a land and a Cloud of Fairies, right?
Oh wow, yeah. Either one was good.
Either one.
Both
Either
are
one
great.
does it. So it looks like he has the kill here. Yeah, this Esper Familiars deck can really win out of nowhere.
It feels very powerful, but I don't know if it feels oppressive, which is one of the things I like.
No, it's definitely not.
There's definitely pieces and tools to interact. We got a spammer in chat. I don't have my phone up, otherwise I'd mod him out. I don't even know what he posted. It looks all weird. I don't know. It's not related to this game, though. This game's way more interesting in chat.
So we went over how this combo works earlier, but basically he returns Ghostly Flicker with the Mnemonic Wall, and then he flickers Mnemonic Wall and Cloud of Fairies to make infinite mana, returning Ghostly Flicker.
Yeah, Mnemonic Wall will bring back Ghostly Flicker, which he'll then do again, targeting the Cloud of Fairies and Mnemonic Wall. That generates infinite mana, as Cloud of Fairies untapping generates 3 mana here, and Ghostly Flicker only costs 1 to cast. So you get 2 untaps, make 3 mana. And now what he's going to do is he's going to do the same thing, but instead of targeting Cloud of Fairies, because he has infinite mana, he's going to Ghostly Flicker the Mnemonic Wall and Seagate Oracle.
Yep.
That's going to allow him to basically sleight of hand his entire way through his deck. Eventually it's a Muldrifter, and he can do it off Muldrifter.
Yep.
And once you get to this point, the kill is inconsequential. You have infinite mana, you draw on your entire deck. It's very hard not to acquire a win out of that.
Yep. And he actually has another kill here. Yeah, he's going to do it.
He's going to do it. He's going for it.
The compulsive research. He makes him draw his whole deck.
Yeah, and so now you Ghostly Flicker 2 Mnemonic Walls, and then the first Mnemonic Wall brings back Ghostly Flicker, and the second one brings back Compulsive Research, and you can just machine gun them until they draw their entire deck, drawing 3 cards and discarding the land every time.
Yeah, it's kind of incidental. Once you have infinite mana and infinite card draw, it doesn't really matter how you win the game.
Yeah, you win the game at that point, you just have to show your opponent what they're doing. So I'm looking at their sideboards right now, and it looks like Jason has some Dispels. He's got a Daze in the sideboard. I think he's bringing in 2 Dispel and probably 1 Daze. I really like Daze in this matchup. It's important early, but it definitely falls off late, which is something you got to watch out for. So he's going to be really aggressively using those Dazes.
Yep.
Whereas Greg, he's got a Capsize, he's got another Snap. That Snap should be in the main deck. I'm very surprised he's not playing 4 Snap main deck.
Yeah, it's pretty standard to only play 3 Snap in this deck. I know from Magic Online.
Card's so good.
I'm not sure why. It's one of the best cards in the deck. You basically always want it.
Yeah, I've never not wanted mana and it comes into play effect of any creature I haven't played.
Yeah, I think Greg only brings in the Snap, the Capsize, and the Dispels, and I'll probably cut some of the more expensive card draw just because he doesn't have a lot of time.
Yeah, it's really important to cast your spells rather than worry about values, so Muldrifter gets a little bit worse, so does Compulsive Research.
I think Deep Analysis is probably the worst card in this deck against Delver.
Deep Analysis
it's a lot of mana, and Delver is clocking you pretty hard.
Absolutely. I think Deep Analysis is the worst, and the second worst is probably 4C, possibly in the other order.
Yeah, the cards you really want against Delver are the Familiars.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Cost reduction is very good against decks that are trying to daze you and spell spray you out.
Yeah, one advantage the Familiars deck has over something like High Tide is you're actually really good at not getting hit by a Ninja.
Yeah.
Because after it hits you once, you just have Sunscape Familiar or Seagate Oracle.
Mnemonic Wall.
All kinds of garbage you have to just gum up the board.
Yeah, the Flyers, Delver, Spire Golem, the Fairy package. Those guys have flying, so they're going to get over the walls. But you also have Muldrifter, which, that's King of the Air. It's a 2-2. Don't mess around with 2-2s.
Yeah. And it's nice to see a good Esper Familiars pilot, because this deck is very difficult to play. I think it's definitely the hardest deck to play in the format.
So it looks like Greg's also bringing in Curse of Chains, hoping to stem some early aggression. It's a pretty powerful effect. Delver, however, does have tools to interact with it. They have Snap, and if you were to say Curse of Chains their Spellstutter Sprite, and they snap that back, and then they counter something with Spellstutter Sprite, that's got to be the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah, I think you would basically never Curse of Chains the Spellstutter Sprite for that reason.
I think Delver of Secrets...
Same thing with Cloud of Fairies. I think it's just Delver, Spire Golem, maybe a Ninja, in a pinch.
Yeah.
Well, the problem... So it's not great.
Yeah, actually, if you do it on the Ninja and they have a snap, they'll be able to snap it and then immediately recast the Ninja to depower, so that's pretty gross, too. Yeah, there's not a real good way to deal with Delver's creatures because of Snap. Man, Snap is just such a good card.
Yeah, the Familiars deck really showed off its power there off of Logan. What was that? Turn 4 kill?
Yeah.
Turn 4 kill.
Turn 4,
Through a counter spell, basically, Spellstutter Sprite, which is...
Almost 2. He had to play perfectly to get around that, and he did it just right. So here's a hand from Greg. He's got Snap, he's got Terramorphic, he's got an Island and Dispel, Bounce Land, Muldrifter.
This hand is perfect. It's exactly what you want against Delver.
All the tools you want, a little bit of interaction, a little bit of the mid-game stuff.
If he had a Familiar, it would be the perfect hand.
Yeah.
But really what you want early against Delver is the interaction. Delver doesn't actually have raw card advantage, and the Familiars deck does.
Yeah.
So if you can actually find your disruptive elements in your blockers, you can take a long game with the Familiars deck.
You can make a game go very long. I mean, that's the thing, right? You're playing these more expensive cards because they're better in that situation. So not only is it a piece of this combo that's built around that, but the entire curve of the deck is built to play out very effectively, even if they're not winning the game on the spot.
Yep.
Like Familiar, sure, it sets up an infinite win, but it also makes all your spells cost less. So you can do things like, turn 4 Muldrifter Hardcast with Snap or something like that.
Man, how good is Delver with the new Mulligan rule?
I definitely think it got a little bit better, but I feel like some other decks got a lot better.
Especially in a deck like this that doesn't have to fetch.
Yeah.
It's just like free scry on turn 1, free turn 1. He didn't have a Delver, but...
Yeah, if he had started with the Delver, had a spell on top, very good. But I think that situation's okay, just because mulliganing is the worst. I just hate mulliganing. Makes the game feel very unfun and a lot... It's about parts of the game that I don't care about being the winner, being the decider between winner and loser, rather than actual skill.
So Jason actually has Boomerang in hand.
I do like Boomerang. That's going to be real good against Greg here if he plays that.
Greg's going to play a he's definitely playing the bounce land, and it's definitely getting Boomerang.
Yes.
So he's going to go to 0 permanents here on turn 2, which is going to be...
Not really where you want to be.
It's going to be hard to come back from. There's not really anything Greg can do about it. How many Boomerangs does Jason have?
I believe it's just one.
Is it fun of?
No, I don't even see it on here.
I'm pretty sure that's Boomerang. I'm 98% certain that's Boomerang in his hand.
He doesn't even have it on the sideboard. Interesting.
Well, we'll see. Maybe it's not Boomerang. Because it is definitely not on his deck list.
Okay, yeah, Boomerang is definitely not on here. Maybe it's a counterspell? Maybe it's a Vapor Snag?
I think it's Boomerang. On the far left of his hand.
I'm not really sure. There's so many arts for Boomerang, I literally can't think of it.
I think it's the one with the devil on it.
The one that's being like stuck into an actual Boomerang?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see if he casts it. If he does, we'll know what to do. Oh, so Greg's actually going to play around that, play a familiar here.
Hopefully it's not Boomerang for Jason's sake, not Greg's.
Yeah.
It's definitely not in his deck.
Yeah, Greg would find himself getting an easy win here if it was. I don't know. I think this is still being judged a competitive REL. I don't know. I can't tell what the art is.
Someone in the chat says they think it's Snap.
We got a preordain here from Jason. Defends a Spire Golem and a Cloud of Fairy, so two very powerful creatures. They apply a bit of pressure, but I don't know if you want Spire Golem this early. I think you are going to keep the Spire Golem regardless, but you, I think, want to be finding some more lands before you start opting into casting it. Okay, it looks like he went top-bottom, but I'm not sure which one was which. But we'll find out here in a second when he draws.
Looks like he kept the spell source, right?
Yeah, Cloud of Fairies?
The Cloud of Fairies.
So he's going to tap those lands for free. Yeah, so he's got a Snap in hand, he's got a Spell Stutter, he's got a Ninja of the Deep Hours, and I think those are the only 3 cards in his hand, so I think he's safe for now. I think it's the Ninja of Deep Hours.
Ninja. That's what it is.
So yeah, playing around that Boomerang, even though it's not there, that's what I like to see. So Greg currently has a mana floating. And
his hand is really good.
Yeah, I think he's going to be casting Cloud of Fairies here. There is a Snap from Jason's hand, so we'll have to see if that does anything here. We're going to see a Snap on Jason's Delver. Right now there's 1 mana floating and 2 lands tapped, so those will both untap. We'll see if Jason, he might potentially Spellster Sprite this, he might potentially snap his own Delver. Both of them will fizzle the Snap. He's going to go ahead and fire off a Spellstutter Sprite. If Greg had another Snap there, that would have been out of control. He had a Cloud of Fairies, and if he had started with Cloud of Fairies there, he could have actually potentially won the game on the spot, because he'd be able to snap one of the fairies in response. And Greg, you know what, he probably just realized that, and he's probably getting thrown just a little bit about it. He had a blue mana floating, right?
I think he had a white mana floating.
Oh, that changes everything. I thought he had
he has a Plains in hand, right? That's what he bounced.
Oh, yeah. No, he has an island as well. Oh, I think he went Plains into island, though.
Yeah.
Or he went island into Plains for his turn 1 and turn 2 land. Yeah, you're right. Never mind then. That changes everything. Spellster
the second Spellster Sight's going to be great, except for Greg's going to cast Mold Ripper.
Even if you evoke that, its CMC is still 5, so Spellstutter Sprite will not counter it at 3.
I think, given Greg's hand, it looks like he's going to go for the Spriting and get kind of wrecked. These Spellstutter Sprites are doing work for Jason.
It's a very good card. Really powerful Magic card in this format. I really like the card in general.
Yeah. I've seen play in a lot of formats. I think Jason really wants to counter.
So Jason's tapping 2 mana. It's got to be the Spellstutter Sprite. Snap is just not that great right now. The only 3 cards are Snap, Spellstutter Sprite, and Ninja. So, oh, we're gonna see a Snap on the wall in response. Interesting.
I do not like that.
Oh man, Greg's gonna. Oh, he's gonna dispel. I thought he was gonna snap his own Spellstutter or his own.
Why would you snap the wall in response instead of snapping your own Spellstutter Sprite and then countering it?
Yeah, that seems way more powerful. I like that one a lot more.
So that Cloud of Fairies, I mean, he doesn't have any removal in his deck, right?
Just Snap.
Yeah. And then Greg's just going to cast this Mold Ripper, I think?
I imagine so. Yep, there it is. For 4 mana. Low price of 4 mana, you get a 2/2 in addition to draw 2.
It's pretty powerful.
Terramorphic and Compulsive Research is the draw. He just played a land, so he's not going to be able to fire off that Compulsive Research unless he has another untap engine. He does not. So
what's the other blue card you're saying?
Seagate Oracle.
So this Moldrifter is looking pretty beefy on the battlefield here. He can trade with the Delver. It's brick walling the other 2 creatures. I think you think Greg will trade here in the option?
I think so. I think Jason has to swing in though, just because he's setting up an Ninja D-Powers. I don't really like blocking with Cloud of Fairies.
I don't like blocking with it.
I think you can leave that back. If you hit a snap, you really want that card in play.
Yeah.
However, this does force him to Ninja D-Powers a Cloud of Fairies rather than Spellstutter Sprite, so I can see the value in doing it that way. That Cloud of Fairies is dead though, so doesn't matter. Okay, he's putting them in the graveyard. It's like those are not in play. Watch yourself, sir. And Craig still has this wall that's going to be able to brick wall that Ninja D-Powers. There's another Delver for Jason, but if that doesn't flip next turn, it's not getting in either.
Well, it doesn't matter because Greg is good at magic. He draws another Cloud of Fairies.
Perfect. The dream. So I think you just fire off this Compulsive Research, or do you start with the Seagate Oracle?
I think I might start with the... I'm not sure it really matters. Maybe the Cloud of Fairies.
Okay.
I think Greg should tap 2 lands before that happens.
Yeah, well, he's going to make sure it resolves, trigger on the stack, tap the lands for mana. It's a pretty safe way to do it, because if it doesn't resolve, you still want that mana up. So it'll land up.
I think he has 2 mana floating then?
Yeah, he's got blue and a white, or he's got
He's
blue and a white, yeah.
That way.
So he's going to use that 2 mana to cast Compulsive Research. Normally a 3 mana spell, currently 2 off that Familiar. He's going to draw 3 spells. That's another Cloud of Fairies. Seagate Oracle and a Compulsive Research. Discard this.
He's got a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Looks like another Cloud of Fairies.
Another Cloud of Fairies, Compulsive Research, and Seagate Oracle off that Compulsive Research. So drawing a ton of cards here, and that's just more value. It's also an engine. It gives you another Cloud of Fairies to untap your lands. So he's got 2 mana floating right now, a blue and a white. He's going to fire off a Compulsive Research, same way, spending only 2 mana.
And he's just drawing a ton of cards. And he does have a land in hand.
So there's another Oracle. I believe that's a Curse of Chains and a Preordained. So he has 2 lands in hand, has not played one yet. So he's going to be able to discard 1 and then still play 1 this turn. He's going to wait.
Drawing so many cards right now.
He's going to wait as long as possible to play a land in case he draws an island.
I know Greg, he's in heaven right now drawing all these cards.
Oh yeah, this is what Greg loves to do.
He's just loving life.
Oh, so he draws, plays Seagate Oracle, sees a Scryland and a Nightscape Familiar. I actually would have taken, or the Bounce Land. I would have taken the Bounce Land because you can play the Bounce Land and then continue to untap it.
Neither are particularly good here.
Well, he doesn't have any black mana, so he can't cast a Nightscape Familiar at all. See another Seagate Oracle for 2 mana.
He's kind of bricking here on these
There
draws.
you go. That's what he's looking for.
Was that
Ghostly Flicker.
There we go. That's...
And we also have a Curse of Chains, so I imagine he's going to drop that. I'd put it on the Ninja. I can see putting it on the Delver, though.
I like putting it on the Delver.
Yeah,
that Ninja is never getting through.
Yeah, it's going to get stonewalled.
How is he getting through?
You're right. Flying is a big deal.
Wow, look at that deck synergy. Curse of Chains costs 1 less, and you can cast it with the Plains.
Oh, man. Spicy.
That's so nice.
Yeah, because normally you want as many blue sources as possible, and so it can be really awkward with the bounce lands.
I really dislike the Narcolepsy Curse of Chains style triggers.
Yeah.
I have to announce it to your opponent every time on their upkeep. It's
Yeah.
it's a real hassle.
Yeah, absolutely.
In real life, it's a really easy trigger to forget. But I mean, if someone can he just did like 30 game actions, right?
Yeah.
It's like he could pretty easily forget that trigger, and Delver could whack him potentially.
I absolutely agree.
I mean, Greg has drawn so many cards in this game.
And there's a Swamp for that Nightscape Familiar.
It's going to be really hard for Jason to come back.
He's going to fire off this Nightscape Familiar. He wants the spells to cost 2 less. He's got a Ghostly Flicker in his hand as well, so that now costs 1 mana. And if you target 2 Cloud of Fairies, that's a lot of mana.
It's a lot of mana.
I imagine you're not going to, though, but you could.
No, I think he wants to draw a couple more cards here.
Yeah,
I think you preordain first and see what happens.
I like preordaining. Especially because if you preordain and find 2 things you want, you can get one of them off with the Seagate Oracle. Compulsive Research and another Ghostly Flicker.
1 mana Compulsive Research. And it's basically Ancestral Visions in this one.
Yeah. Discarding a card is not a hefty cost in this format. Okay, so we got a Ghostly Flicker. It's going to flicker a Seagate Oracle and a Cloud of Fairies. I might fire off that Compulsive Research first.
Yeah, I think so.
it's not too big of a deal either way, but... Okay, so I like this. So it looks like he's going to resolve Seagate Oracle first, so he wants to see what he has, and that potentially changes the lands that he untaps. Because now that he has an Ice Gate Familiar, potentially,
I think he should take the island there, because he is going to Compulsive Research.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
And the third Familiar, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's not going to do it.
The only spell it affects is Muldrifter.
Yeah.
And I think Greg is soundly in control of this game, but he's got to find a kill piece. I really like these Fairweather combo decks that you don't necessarily know you're going to win, but you're pretty sure.
And I think he made a mistake untapping the Swamp there.
Yeah, I think so. He doesn't really want that black mana. I didn't see what he grabbed. I saw him put back an island, though. Oh, it's a Dimir Aqueduct. Okay.
Yeah, he's bricking pretty hard here.
Yeah. Yeah, he really wants the blue sources.
I don't know why he's untapping
The Swamp, yeah.
He should definitely... Yeah, there we go. He figured it out the second time. And then he casts... It's not even really a reason to cast that Familiar right now.
I wouldn't. It costs 2 mana, so...
Yeah.
It costs 2 mana, and it's not actually going to reduce any costs.
And he can fire off...
So that's going to get Spell Stutter Spreaded? Alright. I mean, that's probably the best thing that card can do is beta Spell Stutter Spread.
Yeah. I don't know why he didn't hit the Preordain.
Yeah. Or the Ghostly Flicker, right? Oh, no, he doesn't have 3.
Ghostly
That's right.
This is Greg's last card.
Scry 2, and he finds a Ghostly Flicker and a Cloud of Fairies, it looks like.
Ghostly Flicker is good here.
I don't think Cloud of Fairies is.
No,
Ghostly Flicker is always good.
Yeah.
I think he should have been blinking double Seagate Oracle rather than Seagate Oracle.
He definitely should blink double Seagate Oracle here.
That's what I would be doing. You just need to dig. If Ghostly Flicker generates card advantage, I don't think you can lose this game. Let's see what he decides to do. So, Seagate Oracle and Seagate Oracle. Okay, cool. He's on the ball now. Okay, so he's going to resolve the first one here. Scry 2 hits a Muldrifter, and I didn't see what the other card was. Looks like he wants it. I think it might be Archaeomancer. And then another one, Curse of Chains, and another Familiar. Not really what you're looking for.
He takes the curse.
Yeah, no real reason not to.
I don't think he would have put... I don't think he has Archaeomancer in his deck, right?
Isn't that the one? Or, no, Mnemonic Wall, sorry.
He definitely would have taken Mnemonic Wall.
I meant Mnemonic Wall.
Mnemonic Wall is a kill here.
Yeah.
Or he has to untap, but... Let's see if Greg even bothers firing off this.
Curse of Chains?
I think... Oh, there's the Mnemonic Wall. And if Greg untaps here, he wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, I think... Has he used 2 or 3 Ghostly Flickers?
He's used 3. That's number 3.
So then he has 1 Mnemonic Wall in his deck left to win.
Yeah.
So if that gets counterspelled, he actually can't combo.
Oh, interesting.
But I think he could still win this game via beatdowns.
Yeah, I mean, how many creatures do you need in play to beat a deck that is only drawing 1 card a turn? This deck is also, let's see, how many creatures does Delver run? Like 16, 20? 21 creatures? Like, you can put down 21 creatures and just kill them. So it looks like we got some blocks.
I like trading 1 Cloud of Fairies.
Yeah, trading a cloud for a Spellstutter Sprite. It makes the fairies only counter 2 mana spells.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And you definitely want 1 Cloud of Fairies in play still.
We'll say... Oh no, so there's another flicker in his hand.
Well, he got it back with the Mnemonic Wall, so... That's number 3.
So we'll see if this resolves. If this resolves, Greg certainly wins.
Yes. Mnemonic Wall and Seagate Oracle. I like this. Try and find as fast as possible. It also digs you and puts cards on the bottom, so that's pretty neat.
I mean,
I think he's making infinite combo first, though, right?
He should.
Infinite mana, because that actually doesn't draw you any cards; it just increases storm.
I think seeing if that resolves first is good.
Oh, okay.
Because then his opponent might not know it's an infinite combo.
Okay. I feel like at this point in the tournament, at this breakhead,
he probably knows. But it's still, it's free to do it, basically.
Yeah, no cost. Makes sense. I respect that. So, resolving a Seagate Oracle, it finds a Compulsive Research and a...
And I believe Greg can just shortcut this. He can say, hey, I'm just going to do this over and over again. I get to Seagate Oracle over and over again.
Yeah.
And looks like packing it in. That was a pretty impressive showing for a familiar deck.
Absolutely. Pretty quick match there. So, yeah. So yeah, we've got about 20 minutes left in the round here. So I think we're gonna try and find one more match, get it on camera.
Yeah, definitely.
Come back with a little bit more with a bit more popper, and then I believe next round's the final round, right?
Yeah, round 7, and then cut to top 8. So hopefully we can find a good match for round 7. But.
All right, so we'll be right back with another match of round 6 here at Card Kingdom's Rags to Riches Popper Tournament. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.